Hey guys, so in this video I want to discuss a little bit about this idea of wasting youth and some of my thoughts about this. So I was thinking about this and I don't know exactly how this video is going to go, but I'm going to just, I suppose, improvise a little bit about this idea of, you know, people being expected maybe to live a certain way when they're young, or, people who kind of push others to live a certain way, and kind of my thoughts about this. So I think when we think of wasting youth, there's people that might think of that as sort of maybe not socializing very much when you're younger, or not maybe going out a lot, or maybe in some cases I've seen it said that it's the other way as well. So if you party too much when you're young and you don't prepare for your future, you don't prepare for your future life, and you don't study hard and things like that, you don't think about what you want to do with your life, that can also be seen as wasting youth. And I think what it ultimately comes down to is that, like, the best way is to have an internal baseline of contentment. And so it's not about necessarily going out of your way to be euphorically happy all the time or something like that, or to have a million experiences. I think at the end of the day, what's important is to have a sense of contentment in yourself. Certainly, I would suggest that to people who are maybe more my kind of personality or something like that. So there's some people that maybe wouldn't agree with that, which is fine. There are people that think that the best way is to have as many experiences as possible, and I actually agree with that to a certain degree. I just don't think that it's necessarily important to sort of feel like you have to chase some kind of invisible dream or something like that, and to have as many experiences, or else you're kind of wasting your life or something like that. I don't think that's the way to go, because at least for someone like me, like that, this is kind of how I would advise it to someone who's maybe more my kind of personality, is that, like, find what works for you, is what I would say to those kinds of people, is that, like, find what works for you and try to have a baseline of contentment. So I was thinking about this the other day, about how, we don't have to chase happiness all the time. We don't have to be on a high all the time, and that's not realistic. I think that life is essentially is, what I like to say is, it is a series of experiences, no matter whether you're chasing those experiences or you're just kind of having them, if that makes any sense. So we're all just having a series of experiences no matter what. And I think the best way is, or one of the best ways, is to just have like an internal sense of contentment in yourself. Whether you're feeling really positive or whether you're down in the dumps, you still have like an underlying sense of contentment to some degree or another. So when I get into low moods or dark moods, I still tend to, there's always a part of me that has hope. There's always a part of me that feels okay being wherever I am. Like, in some sense, I'm pretty strong in that sense. Is that, like, while I get down and I think about certain maybe missed opportunities or missed experiences or something like that, there's always a part of me that is able to stay content with where I am in the moment. So I don't want to just chase highs all the time, because there will be times where I'm going to be experiencing something out of my control that's really negative or really dark, and you just have to kind of stay in that content baseline, if that makes sense. So I think when it comes to things like when people sort of say this term wasting youth, I think what that comes down to is that, like, we have to find what works for us. So not everybody is a party person. Not everybody is someone who chases after every opportunity or every experience. But I think as long as you're in the moment, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen necessarily, like when we die, or what we're going to think before we die, or when we're reflecting on our lives later on in life. We don't know that. But so I think as long as you're somewhat content in yourself, in the moment, then in the time of death, or when you're reflecting back on your life, you will also be content, because you went through life as often as possible with having this sense of contentment. So I think sometimes we worry that we will start to think later on in life that, like, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And that probably does happen to pretty much everybody, I would say. Like, there's certain regrets, or, certain experiences that we felt like we missed out on. But I think as long as we try to remain content in the situation and in the moment, then it's kind of like we did our best to be content in the moment. And so later on in life, later down the line, we may not regret as much, because we weren't expected to have everything figured out. So it's not like we failed life. We just had a life. We experienced a life. Does that make sense? So when we're like on our deathbed, I don't want to sound morbid, but when we're reflecting back on our life, let's say, it's not like we had one way that we were supposed to live and that we didn't live up to that. And that's the way that I would think mostly, I would say. And so I would suggest it to people who are kind of like me, is that, contentment is sometimes better than trying to always be happy. And so we didn't have a specific plan, we didn't have a specific way that we were supposed to experience this huge life, and all these things, but we just had a life. And so as long as you try to be somewhat content in each situation, or have an underlying sense of strength in yourself and an underlying sense of contentment, then that's okay at the end of your life, because you experienced a life. And it wasn't that you were just objectively supposed to do things a certain way and you failed, and so you'd be like regretting that. So that's not the case. So you just experienced the experiences that you had, and we all have different paths, and so we have different personalities, different temperaments. And so some people are more party goers, others are more reserved, and both are okay. And it's okay to try the other side as well. So if you're a party person, it's okay to retreat and try to just relax into yourself more and reflect on your life, and just be more sort of, go and read a book every once in a while. And if you're more like of an introvert, more reserved character, it's okay to try and go and party. But if it doesn't work for you, if the other side doesn't work for you, that's okay. You just tried it. But it's not the case that, like, there's one correct way of living. I don't think so. Like, there isn't that, just because we're young, that we're expected to, like, be really fun and happy all the time, and like party and like socialize a lot. I mean, there's different personalities, so some people just don't even want to socialize that much, and that's okay for them. So I just think it's important to find whatever works for you. And also, there are people who maybe have like certain disabilities, or conditions, or some kind of problems that they're going through, even, that kind of prevent them or stop them from wanting to have certain experiences. So, there's people that are maybe very depressed, and so they don't want to go and party all the time, or even if they wanted to, it's like it's not going to work for them necessarily. It's not going to work for their state of mind. And so we all have our own individual ways of being, and it's not like it's correct and not correct. So if you're, let's say, depressed and you don't want to party or something when you're young, or you're going through some other issue that kind of prevents you from going out and having experiences that everybody is like supposed to have, so to speak, that what people might say that you're supposed to have, that's okay, because you are going through your path, you're going through your chapters in life. And just, I think, having that sense of like contentment, like I like to think of it as like that you have like a it sounds funny, but like you have like a steady rock inside yourself, like an anchor that that you always cling on to, no matter what situation you're in. So even if you're sick, even if you're depressed, even if you're just unhappy, that there's still a side of you, there's still a part of you. And I know this from personal experience, that I have this, that there's always an anchor, there's always like a core, steady rock that can't be rocked, if that makes any sense. That there's always a part of you that is content, no matter what experience you're having. And so that allows you to not regret as much, if that makes sense. So because you did you, and you had a sense of contentment and a sense of like a steady rock or anchor inside yourself, that you don't need to chase all the time, chase experiences or chase this and that. You can do that, of course, but if you're not in a position where you feel like doing that, that doesn't mean that you're wasting your youth or wasting your life. It's just that you weren't at that place at that time. So I think when people kind of try to, I suppose it's a way of encouraging somebody sometimes, like get out there and stop wasting your youth or something like that. But it's also about like, well, what does that person want? Maybe they want to read a book more, and they don't want to like go and party all the time or something like that, and that's okay. That being said, you shouldn't deny yourself the experiences that you know in your heart of hearts that you would like to have. But just, I would say, don't put yourself down and don't put others down when it comes to this idea of like wasting youth or wasting life. So don't tell yourself that you're wasting your life or wasting your time. Just go through life and have these different experiences, and just whatever experiences you're having, that's okay. And if you are somebody who is very out there and outgoing, maybe you're young and you're like partying a lot or something like that, it's okay to be like that, but just kind of don't tell others that they have to be like that, if that makes sense. Like don't like always be there for people and like encourage them and support them, but you don't have to sort of push them or tell them that they have to be a certain way or something like that, or suggest that in any way, I would say. I think that we all just have our own experience of life, and there are people that are here to also observe more, maybe write about philosophy or teach like some kind of philosophy or psychology or astrology or something like that. And so they're going to be more reflective sorts of people. They're probably going to be people that sit at home more and think about things. And so we need that part, we need those people. And then we also need kind of the outgoing people that kind of like maybe make things happen or something like that. So there's different ways that we are as people, and so it doesn't mean that you're always going to be the same, but it's just that there are certain people that are here to think and that are here to express their vision or their concepts, their ideas, to enlighten people, to raise consciousness. And so maybe they're not going to be the people that are just going out partying all the time, because that is not part of their personality structure. And they can do that, they can try that, but it may not necessarily work for them. And I think it's just about finding that thing that, again, like I keep saying, like find what works for you is my honest advice for this, is like find what works for you and stick to that if you want, but don't kind of push others to be like that as well. Just go through life, have your experiences, and find that rock and that anchor. Get in touch, get to know that anchor inside yourself that is always content no matter what. Because like even when I'm sad, for example, there's still a part of me there's an anchor inside of me that is still content. Not with this, I'm not like happy that I'm sad or something, but I'm content where I am. Like I'm still able to get through it. Like I'm able to live in this situation. I'm sad as hell, but I'm still able to live this moment. And I will hopefully not regret it too much or something like that when I'm older, because I just had my series of experiences that we're all supposed to have, and we have different sort of natal charts, for example, and some people have like more challenging or a bit more difficult natal charts maybe, and so it's like you came here partly, if we want to use those terms, like we came here partly to deal with these specific experiences and these specific concepts. If we're talking about astrology, I make astrology videos on this channel, so I think in those terms sometimes, that like our soul imprint is reflected in our natal chart, and so maybe we came here to have a certain series of experiences, and so like wherever we are, maybe that's what we're meant to be. I'm not saying that it's just like divine timing and just like destiny. It can be that as well, but like you have free will at the end of the day, you do. But if you're not in a position to do something, don't beat yourself up about it. So if you're, let's say, ill or depressed or something, and you don't want to go out and party, or going out partying isn't going to give you satisfaction necessarily, or you're not going to be able to get through it very well, don't beat yourself up about it, because you're maybe in that moment you're meant to take care of yourself, and that is part of your experience in that moment that you're meant to have, rather than going out there and partying or something like that, kind of just because you're young, and people will think that you're wasting your youth or wasting your time or wasting your life or something like that. I don't like those terms. I think it's just that we have different experiences and different ways of handling situations, and we're at different stages in different parts of our lives. Some people who are young are very quiet, and maybe they want to, maybe they have that insecurity that they would like to go out and party more or do other things and experience more, but maybe in that moment they're meant to look after themselves, and they're meant to find themselves first. So that's all I wanted to say about this topic. It was kind of long. I was hoping this would be a shorter video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was interesting in some way. And if you like this content, please do subscribe and leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and do comment if you have any thoughts about this. I try to do my best speaking about this topic. So thank you so much.